Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra. I am the faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Today I am going to take the class of properties of discrete time Fourier transform. Uh, as you know, the subject name is signal system. Subject code is EC303 and this is the lecture number 22. And as we are discussing in the previous many lectures that what is the Fourier transform is, we have a detailed discussion about the continuous time Fourier transform, and we have also started in the previous lecture with the basic fundamentals of discrete time Fourier transform. We have discussed the definition, the synthesis and analysis equation, and more on with many different examples. So in this lecture we are going to describe different the properties of discrete time Fourier transform, and we will have a detailed explanation with few more examples. Okay, so let's begin with our lecture. As with the continuous time Fourier transform, a variety of properties of the discrete time Fourier transform provide further insight into the transform, and in addition are often useful in reducing the complexity in the evaluation of transforms and inverse transform. In this, we are going to discuss it with few more examples. First, we are going to discuss about the properties of discrete time Fourier transform. Okay, so one second. Okay. So as you can know that x e to the j omega is equal to Fourier of x of n, and x of n can be extracted from inverse Fourier transform of x of e to the j omega. So periodicity of the discrete time Fourier transform is, as we discussed in section 5, the discrete time Fourier transform is always periodic in omega with period 2 pi. So one second. Okay, as we discussed in section 5, the discrete time Fourier transform as we discussed in section 5, the discrete time Fourier transform is always periodic in omega with period 2 pi. So x of e to the power j omega plus 2 pi can be rewritten as x of e to the power j omega, and this is a contrast to the continuous time Fourier transform, which is in general not periodic. Linearity of the Fourier transform. Okay, so as we are discussing that we have already discussed about the different kind of properties, so now we are going to discuss about the convolution property. Okay, so let's begin with our discussion. That as we discussed the importance of the continuous time Fourier transform with regard to its effect on the operation of convolution and its use in dealing with the continuous time LTI system. An identical relation applies to in discrete time, and this is one of the principal reasons that the discrete time Fourier transform is of such great value in representing analyzing discrete time LTI system. Specifically, if x of n, h of n and y of n are the input impulse response and the output respectively of an LTI system, so that y of n is equal to x of n in convolution of h of n, then it could be written as y of e to the power j omega, which is equal to x of e to the power j omega into h of e to the power j omega, where x of e to the power j omega, h of e to the power j omega and y of e to the power j omega are the Fourier transforms of x of n, h of n and y of n respectively. Furthermore, the comparing this equation, we see that the frequency response of a discrete time LTI system as first defined in section this is the Fourier transforms of the impulse response of the system. The derivation of equation this exactly parallels that carried out in section in particular is in continuous time. The Fourier synthesis equation for x of n can be interpreted as decomposition of x of n into a linear combination of complex exponential with infinitesimal small amplitudes proportional to x of e to the power j omega. Each of these exponential is an eigenfunction of the system. We use this fact to show that Fourier series coefficients of the response of an LTI system to a periodic input are simply the Fourier coefficients of the input. That's a very important point, that we use this fact to show that Fourier series coefficients of the response of an LTI system to a periodic input are simply the Fourier coefficients of the input multiplied by the system's frequency response evaluated at the corresponding harmonic frequencies. The convolution property represents the extension of the result of aperiodic inputs outputs by using the Fourier transform rather than Fourier series. As in continuous with equation maps the convolution of two signals to the simple algebraic operation of multiplying their Fourier transform, a fact that both facilitates the analysis of signals and systems and adds significantly to our understanding of the way in which LTI system responds to the input signals that are applied to it. In particular form, we see that frequency response captures the change in complex amplitude of the Fourier transform of the input at each frequency omega. Thus, in frequency selective filtering, for example, we want h to the power j omega tends to 1 over the range of frequencies corresponding to the desired passband h is e to the power j omega tends to 0 over the band of frequencies to be eliminated or significantly attenuated. Okay, So we'll go through few examples to understand more clearly. To illustrate the convolution property along with a number of other properties, we consider several examples of this section. Okay. Now consider an LTI system with impulse response h of n, del of n minus n0. The frequency response is h of e to the power j omega, summation of n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Del of n minus n0 e to the power minus j omega n is equal to e to the power minus j omega n0. Thus, for an input x of n with Fourier transform x to the power j omega, the Fourier transform of the output will be as y of e to the j omega is equal to e to the power minus j omega n0 x of e to the power j omega. We note that for this example, y of n is equal to x of n minus n0, and equation 5.49 is consistent with the time shifting property. Note also that the frequency response is equal to e to the power minus j omega n0 of a pure time shift has a unity magnitude at all frequencies and a phase characteristics minus omega n0, that is linear with frequency. Consider the discrete time ideal low pass filter introduced in section 3.9.2. This system has the frequency response h of e to the j omega illustrated in this. Since the impulse response and the frequency response of an LTI system are a Fourier transform pair, we can determine the impulse response of the ideal low pass filter from the frequency response using the Fourier transform synthesis equation. In particular, using this as the interval of integration in the equation, we see from figure 5.17a that h of n is equal to 1 by 2 pi tends to minus pi to pi h e to the j omega e to the j omega n d omega is equal to 1 by 2 pi is this value. Okay. Now this sine function is nothing but the descriptive ones. It could be again represented as a this is the time discrete time signal, time domain analysis, and this is a frequency domain analysis. Okay. Now we come across many of these same issues that surface with the continuous time ideal low pass filter. First, h of n is not 0 for n tends to 0. The ideal low pass filter is not causal. Second, even if causality is not an important issue, there are other reasons including ease of implementation and preferable time domain characteristics that non-ideal filters are generally used to perform frequency selective filtering. Now in particular, the impulse response of the ideal low pass filter is oscillatory, a characteristic that is undesirable in some applications. In such cases, a trade-off between frequency domain objectives such as frequency selectivity and time domain properties such as non-oscillatory behavior must be made. We will discuss this and related ideas in more detail. As the following example illustrates, the convolution property can also be of value in facilitating the calculation of convolution sums. Now, if we go through this example, it will give a clear idea. This is an LTI system with impulse response this h of n alpha to the power n un. With alpha less than 1, suppose that the input to the system is this beta to the power n un. With beta less than 1, evaluating the Fourier transform of h of n and x of n, we have h of e to the power j omega will be 1 by 1 minus alpha e to the power minus j omega, and x of e to the power j omega is equal to 1 by 1 minus beta e to the power minus j omega. So that y of e to the power j omega is equal to h of e to the power j omega into x of e to the power j omega, which is equal to 1 by 1 minus alpha e to the power minus j omega into 1 minus beta e to the power minus j omega. As with example 4.19, determining the inverse transform of y of e to the power j omega is most easily done by expanding y of e to the power j omega by method of partial fractions. Specifically, y of e to the power j omega is a ratio of polynomials in powers of e to the power minus j omega, and we would like to express this as a sum of simple terms of this type so that we can find the inverse transform of each term by inspection. The general algebraic procedure for rational transforms is described in the appendix. For this example, if alpha is not equal to beta, the partial fraction expansion of y of e to the power j omega is of the form. It look like this, and again it could be written here as that. Thus, the example and the linearity property, we can obtain the inverse transform of equation this by inspection. Y of n is equal to alpha by alpha minus beta, alpha to the power n un, minus beta by alpha minus beta, beta to the power n un, is equal to 1 by alpha minus beta into alpha to the power n plus 1 un minus beta to the power n plus 1 un. For alpha is equal to beta, the partial fraction expansion is not valid. However, in this case, it look like y of e to the power j omega is equal to 1 by 1 minus alpha e to the power minus j omega whole square, which can be expressed as y of e to the power j omega is equal to j by alpha e to the power j omega d by d omega 1 minus 1 by 1 minus alpha e to the power minus j omega. As in example 4.19, we can use the frequency differentiation property together with the Fourier transform pair, and it look like alpha to the power n un is 1 by 1 minus alpha to the power minus j omega. To conclude that n alpha to the power n un will be look like this. To account for the factor j omega, we use the time shifting property to obtain this value again. So it will be multiplied with this part. This is look like that, and this e to the power j omega is multiplied because of the n plus 1 has been multiplied with this part. And finally, accounting for the factor 1 by alpha, we obtain y of n is equal to n plus 1 alpha to the power n un minus 1. It is worth noting that although the right hand side is multiplied by a step that begins at n is equal to minus 1, the sequence n plus 1 alpha to the power n un plus 1 is still 0 prior to n is equal to 0. Since the factor n plus 1 is 0 and at n is equal to minus 1, thus we can alternatively express y of n as y of n is equal to n plus 1 into alpha to the power n un. Okay, so again example 5.1. So the system show in this figure 5.1 with input x of n, output y of n. The LTI system with frequency response HLP to the power j omega are ideal low pass filters with cutoff frequency pi by 4 and unity gain in the pass band. Let us first consider the top path. The Fourier transform of the signal W1n can be obtained by noting that minus 1 whole to the power n is equal to e to the power j pi n, so that W1n is equal to e to the power j pi n x of n. Using the frequency shifting property, we then obtain W1 e to the power j omega is equal to x of e to the power j into omega minus pi. The convolution property yields W2 e to the power j omega is equal to HLP e to the power j omega into x of e to the power j omega minus pi. Since W3 function of n is equal to e to the power j pi n W2n, we can again apply the frequency shifting property to obtain W3 e to the power j omega is equal to W2 e to the power j into omega minus pi. HLP e to the power j omega pi minus pi into x of e to the power j omega minus 2 pi, and it will be look like this. This is a system interconnection. For example, this the overall frequency response of the system. Now discrete time Fourier transform are always periodic with period 2 pi, so it will look like W3 e to the power j omega as this. Applying the convolution property to the lower path, we get this, and from the linear property, Fourier transform, we obtain this value because of the linearity property. They just added each other. Consequently, the overall system in has the frequency response of this, and it look like, as you saw, the frequency response of an ideal high pass filter. Thus, the overall system passes both low and high frequencies and stop frequencies between these two pass bands. That is, the filter has what is often referred to as an ideal band stop characteristics, where the stop band in the region is pi by 4 10 omega mod omega less than greater than pi by 4 less than 3 pi by 4. Now after this completion of the convolution property, we are going to start understanding the multiplication property. Okay, so let's begin with it. Okay, so as we introduced the multiplication property for continuous time signals and indicated some of its application through several examples, an analogous property exists for discrete time signals and plays a similar role in application. In this section, we derive this result directly and give an example of its use. Okay, so let's understand with it. Consider y of n equal to the product of x of 1n and x of 2n with y of e to the power j omega and x1 e to the power j omega and x2 e to the power j omega denoting the corresponding Fourier transforms. Then this value will be written as y of e to the power j omega as a summation of n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity y of n e to the power minus j omega n, which is equal to summation of n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of 1n x2n e to the power minus j omega n. Or since x of 1n is equal to 1 by 2 pi integration 2 pi x1 e to the power j theta e to the power j theta n d theta, it follows that y of e to the power j omega is equal to summation of n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x2n 1 by 2 pi integration 2 pi x1 e to the power j theta e to the power j theta n t theta e to the power minus j omega n. Interchanging the order of summation and integration, we obtain y of e to the power j omega 1 by 2 pi integration of 2 pi x of 1 e to the power j theta summation of n is equal to minus 5 to pi x2n e to the power minus j omega minus theta n d theta. The bracketed summation is x2 e to the power j into omega minus theta, and consequently equation 5.62 becomes y of e to the power j omega is equal to 1 by 2 pi integration of 2 pi x1 e to the power j theta x2 e to the power j omega minus theta d theta. Now this corresponds to a periodic convolution of x1 e to the power j omega and x2 e to the power j omega, and the integral in this equation can be evaluated over any interval of length 2 pi. The usual form of convolution in which the integral ranges from minus infinity to plus infinity and is often referred to as aperiodic convolution to distinguish it from periodic convolution. The mechanics of periodic convolution are most easily illustrated through an example. Consider the problem of finding the Fourier transform x of e to the power j omega of a signal x of n, which is the product of two other signals, that is x of n is equal to x of 1n x2 2n, where x of 1n is equal to sine 3 pi n by 4 by pi n, and x2n is sine pi n by 2 by pi n. From the multiplication property given in equation this, we know that x of e to the power j omega is the periodic convolution of x of 1 e to the power j omega and x2 e to the power j omega, where the integral in equation 5.63 can be taken over any interval of length 2 pi. Choosing the interval minus pi, theta is greater than minus pi and less than pi, we obtain x of e to the power j omega is equal to 1 by 2 pi integration pi to minus pi x1 e to the power j theta into x2 e to the power j omega minus theta d theta. This equation resembles a periodic convolution except for the fact that the integration is limited to the interval minus pi to pi. However, we can convert the equation into an ordinary convolution by defining x1 e to the power j omega as this. Now replacing these values, we get this another level of understanding is that 0 for theta mod theta greater than pi. We see that x e to the power j omega is 1 by 2 pi minus pi to minus pi x1 e to the power j theta x2 e to the power j omega minus theta d theta, and 1 by 2 pi is integration pi to minus pi x1 e to the power j theta x2 e to the power j into omega minus theta d theta. Thus e to the power j omega is 1 by 2 pi times the periodic convolution of the rectangular pulse, and the periodic square wave is both of which are shown in this. The result of this convolution is the Fourier transform of this. So this is the pictorial depiction of this. The x1 g representing the one period of it, and the linear convolution of x1 x1 e to the power j omega and x2 e to the power j omega corresponds to the periodic convolution of x1 e to the power j omega and x2 e to the power j omega. Okay. Now if we represent result of the periodic convolution is this. Tables of Fourier transform properties and basic Fourier transform pairs. Okay. So now we're going to understand what is the duality means. Now it's considering the continuous time Fourier transform. We observe the symmetry of duality between the analysis of equation and the synthesis equation. No corresponding duality exists between the analysis equation and the synthesis equation. For the discrete time Fourier transform, however, there is a duality in the discrete time Fourier series, okay, which we develop in addition and this is the table. I will going to go through that. Duality relationship between the discrete time Fourier transform and the continuous time Fourier series. Now duality in discrete time Fourier series. Since the Fourier series coefficients a suffix k of the periodic signal x of n are themselves a periodic sequence, we can expand the sequence a suffix k in a Fourier series. The duality property for discrete time Fourier series implies that the Fourier series coefficients for the periodic sequence a suffix k are the values of y of n x minus n are proportional to the values of original signal reversed in time. To see this in more detail, consider two periodic sequence with period n related through summation. It look like this: function of f y of n summation r is equal to n gr e to the power minus gr 2 pi by n m. If we let m is equal to k and r is equal to n, this equation becomes function of k which is equal to 1 by n summation of n is equal to n g of n e to the power minus jk 2 pi by n. Compare this equation with 3.95. We see that the sequence f suffix k corresponds to the Fourier series coefficients of the signal g of n, and that is, if we adopt the notation introduced in chapter 3 for a periodic discrete time signal and its set of Fourier coefficients, the two periodic sequence related through equation 5.6 will satisfy this. Alternatively, if we let m is equal to n, r is equal to minus k, its equation becomes function of n summation of k is equal to n y of n g into minus k to the power jk 2 pi by n. Compare this equation with find that y of n g function of minus k corresponds to the sequence of Fourier series coefficients of function of n, that is this. As in continuous time, this duality implies that every property of the discrete time Fourier series has a dual. We see that pair of properties x of n minus n0 Fourier series of a suffix k to the power jk 2 pi by n n0, and this value can be written as a suffix k minus m are dual. Similarly, from the same table we can extract another pair of dual properties is this. Okay, now we'll go through few examples to understand the duality more vividly. So consider the following periodic signal with period n is equal to 9. X of n is equal to bracket 1 by 9 sine pi 5 pi n by 9 by sine pi n by 9, which is and n is not equal to multiple of 9, and when is n is equal to multiple of 9, it is 5 by 9. In chapter 3 we found that a rectangular square wave has Fourier coefficients in a form of much as this equation. It is an example of the duality example. This is basically when you're taking a Fourier transform of a rectangular pulse, we get a sine function, and it will true for vice versa, it will true for the reverse operation also. Okay, to see this more precisely, let g of n be a rectangular square wave with period n is equal to 9 such that g of n is equal to 1 mod n less than equal to 2 and 0 mod n greater than 2 and less than equal to 4. The Fourier series coefficient b suffix k for gn can be determined from example this as bk is equal to 1 by 9 sin pi 5 pi k by 9 sin pi k by 9. The Fourier series analysis equation for function of gn can now be written as b suffix k 1 by 9 summation of minus 2 to 2 1 e to the minus j 2 pi n k by 9. Interchanging the names of the variables k and n, noting that x of n is equal to b of n, we find that x of n is equal to 1 by 9 summation of k is equal to minus 2 to 2 1 into e to the minus j 2 pi n k by 9. Letting k dash is equal to minus k in the sum on the right side, we obtain x of n, y of n is summation of k dash is equal to minus 2 to 2 e to the minus j 2 pi n k by k dash by 9. Finally, moving the factor 1 by 9 inside the summation, we see that the right side of this equation has the form of this equation for x of n. We thus conclude that the Fourier coefficients for x of n are given by a suffix k is equal to 1 by 9 mod k less than equal to 2 which is equal to 0 mod k greater than 2 and less than equal to 4, and of course a periodic with period n is equal to 9. In addition to the duality of the discrete Fourier series, there is a duality between the discrete time Fourier transform and continuous time Fourier series. Specifically, let us compare the continuous time Fourier series. Using this equation, we can easily understand that there is a duality relation between the Fourier series and continuous time Fourier series and discrete time Fourier series. Okay, so if we just go through the table of the Fourier transform properties, okay, so these are the properties. Okay, so first one is the linearity property that is available as very much similar to continuous time Fourier transform. Time shifting property, frequency shifting, conjugation, time reversal, time expansion, convolution, multiplication, differencing in time and accumulation, differentiation in frequency, conjugate symmetry for real signals, symmetry for real and even signals, symmetry for real and odd signals, even odd decomposition of real signals. Fourier transform. Now this is the signal Fourier transform of this 2 pi a suffix k del omega minus 2 pi by k. These are the examples of exponential function, cos, sine, x of n, periodic square wave, okay, del n minus k n, alpha to the power n u n, x of n, sine omega n by omega n. Okay, so here we completed our lecture on Fourier transform. We have discussed about the continuous time Fourier series and the discrete time Fourier series both. With it, we are going to conclude our lecture. From the next lecture, we are going to discuss about the Z transform, and consequent format we are going to discuss about the Z transform and the Laplace transform, and we will go through it and understand what is the significance of Z transform to Laplace transform. Instead of using Fourier transform, why we use all these two transforms, Fourier transform. Okay, so we will conclude our lecture here. Okay, so thank you, bye.